there, kiddos. It's Adam Eddie Retta non Grata, and it's time to play some Ninja Golf. Yes, the obscure cult classic, I guess. I'm trying to remember the name of the website or blog that helped make this game famous, as they really loved it and went through all the little details through all the 9 holes of Ninja Golf. And one oddity about the game, as seen here through the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection, is that it has these kind of columns throughout the screen. Like, I have this in cartridge form. I've played it on a CRT, and it doesn't look like that. So, kind of odd for the overlay filter they used, but it's no big deal. It doesn't change how the game plays or anything. And so if you've never heard of this one before, which would surprise me if you're watching an Atari-focused channel, you play as a ninja, and your goal is to golf your way to honor for you and your family through these 9 holes. And the golfing aspect of it is almost non-existent. It's really just a way to get you to encounter enemies, but it's interesting in that it not only blends two genres together, mashes them together, but that it's a beat 'em up, and beat 'em ups were not very common among Atari systems. Even on the arcade side, Atari games did not produce many beat 'em ups back when that was the hottest genre on the market. Really, the only one I can think of is Guardians of the Hood, which I guess did fairly well at the time. It's just that's not a game that you generally think about when you think about arcades back in the 90s. But for the Atari console systems, really the only beat 'em up that they got was Double Dragon ports, and the 2600 version was, I guess, respectable for what could be done on the 2600, but the 7800 version of Double Dragon is, well, I mean, it plays all right. It's just, it looks terrible, and that's one of those games that's very deserving of a graphics hack. And I've seen stuff on Atari Age where there have been mock-ups and such, but why those haven't been implemented, or actually, I'm sorry, now that I think about it, on my Dragon cart, there are some graphics hacks. When I've checked out a couple of them, they didn't seem to be majorly different, but perhaps I need to spend more time on that. But anyways, Ninja Golf is a beat 'em up, but it's not it doesn't have the isometric movement that something like Double Dragon does, and it could have used some polishing in that regard, where, I mean, as you see here, as you progress through the levels, the enemies just really run right at you and kind of just overpower you in that way. And sometimes you can avoid them or get around them a little bit with jumping. And of course, every time you change the terrain, that gives you a little bit of a breather too, and also changes the enemies that you encounter. But yeah, it's not. I guess this one lives more on its quirkiness than the polish. But of course, too, I suppose the 7800 didn't have a lot of titles beyond the arcade ports that are on there, and so this is a unique one amongst the library, and an Atari 7800 exclusive, making everybody who had an NES jealous if they even have ever heard of this one. But at least graphically, this one is pretty good. I mean, you got parallax scrolling and great use of color, no flicker, decently sized sprites. Sure, it's not running at the 320 resolution mode, and instead running at the 160, and I almost kind of think that the bottom half of the screen might have been able to do it in 320, but maybe they tried that and it slowed things down on the top portion there. It also would have been nice if at the holes when you're fighting the boss, that they would have changed it, because I think I've played this through all the way before and beat it once. but it's just the same dragon, flying dragon that spits fireballs at you, and so there's no variety there. And so if I ever can find the time to learn the tricks to programming, this would be one of those games I'd love to tackle and do a hack for, and see if you could, well, for one, need to add music, because the TIA music that's in this is pretty terrible, and that's another fault of it, although I guess you could say it's part of the quirkiness, the charm, is the terrible Atari 2600 TM music. But yeah, it could have used the pokey at least in there to stand out a little bit more and just be nicer on the ears, since it's nice on the eyes. And just, again, some polish on the actual beat 'em up portion of things, and maybe even a little bit better on the golf side for those who might care. But if you're looking for if you're a serious golf gamer, then this is probably not the one you're looking for. But if you're into beat 'em ups or just weird, quirky games, this one is definitely worth checking out. I know that Atari did in somewhat recent times do a new version of this. I think it was just on mobile. I didn't try that one out to see how it plays or anything. Haven't really seen any discussions about it on Atari forums though, so it doesn't seem to have stood out too much. But I wrote an article years ago on the internet discussing what I would change on Ninja Golf had it come to the Atari Jaguar or something else, the PC, as you could take this concept and really build on it on a more powerful system. But let me know what you think about Ninja Golf. I will end my commentary a few minutes before the actual video ends. The rest of it will just be Ninja Golf. But let me know in the comments below, and we'll catch you on the next video.